Welcome, dear friends, to my Bajerski YouTube channel. I think this is clean. Let me just see if it's clean. There's a good cleaner, my top. Yeah, it's not that. It's not that bright, is it, today? It's actually in its 30s today. I was asked to give a talk on suicide, taking one's life. So I thought I'd make a video on that today. This is a taboo subject because it infuriates people who has lost somebody, and that's why it's so challenging to make these videos when it affects you personally and you look at this and you're screaming and shouting at me. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm just telling you my perspective. It's not my fault that you're in pain and suffering because maybe your dad took his life or your sister or your child. Not my fault. But you know, it seems as though certain people are huge punch bags, you know, monumental punch bags for other people's sadness. And that's no way of healing from situations like this, but that's another subject. So there are people who are genuinely wanting to heal from the loss of somebody that they loved and cared for so much, and not exactly why they did it, but did they arrive home safely? Meaning, did they move straight into the light? Or some people don't even like me saying that, and I can understand why. Because you've been told certain things, and when you're told certain things, if you buy into them, because it's basically a program, if you buy into that program, then you're going to defend it. Whereas I've always had an open mind to everything, because I don't believe people, because it's not my experience. So if you take everything that I say as gospel, you've got it wrong. You've got it wrong. It's not like that. Sometimes we can hear a conversation and say that sits correctly or that makes sense, but the real truth is this: it's faith if you haven't experienced it, if you've not been in the same situation that other people have been in. Now, for me, I don't mind talking about this subject because I was so close to doing the same thing. So one morning I woke up and my wife back then decided that we weren't meant to be together anymore. And I remember packing a suitcase, walking down the stairs, crying, and walking out of the door. Respecting her truth and what she felt made sense. You know, I wasn't the best of partners. I guess I thought I was good enough, but obviously not. And at that point, I was heartbroken. Of course I was. I felt shattered. First time in my life I'd been rejected. And the worst part for me was not being able to hold my son and feed him on a night like I used to do, which I really enjoyed doing. So all of that disappeared that night. And, you know, I look back now and realise she was right. It was the right thing to do. And look at me now. If it wasn't for that, would I be the same man? That said, that's got nothing to do with what you're probably thinking now if you've lost somebody. So when I was, you know, at the auction house, because I had an auction house, I was on the floor and I nearly swallowed all the tablets, and a voice told me not to. What are you doing? And I stopped myself. So I think I was very lucky at that point to have had that voice speak to me. It was my mother who was speaking to me in the spirit world, and I listened. I was very sensitive, which means that I was open to hearing and listening. Some people aren't. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about the transition of certain things that have happened. And funnily enough, coincidentally, how strange is this? I used to be an auctioneer, and I used to go and do valuations on property for probate reasons, meaning when somebody passes away and they didn't have any immediate family, I would go in and clear that property out, and all the money would go to government. Believe it or not, happens to this day. They make trillions. So funnily enough, I wasn't into this field of work at all back then. In fact, I had no belief system at all. And I went into, I'd probably say about 15 to 20 properties that the people in that property. And it's funny because when you're clearing out a property, people just turn up from all over wanting to know what's going on. And you often hear the story of why that person died. There were people who died in their bed and they were left there for 3 months, and I had to clear them out with special outfits and masked because it was so strong, the smell. So I'd gone through a lot of that, and a lot of people would come in and say, you know what, the guy, he hung himself on there, and like, oh, okay. So that was interesting. And I may get round to explaining why I said that, but as a healer, when I became a healer at 38 years old, I became open to understanding life and life after life. I don't like to call it death because there's no such thing as death. And I'm going to share some really profound insights that made me understand the spirit realm and how it works before we move into the light, after we move into the light. So we're talking about suicide. So let's start from the beginning, hey? When somebody is in a really bad place and they are not in their soul or their spirit, they're completely in their mind. There is no connection to the spirit trying to warn them, and the connection is about the connection between your soul, which is connected to all that is the spirit world. So when you're more deeply connected, when you're more empathic, it means that you're more connected to your spirit. That's the real you. But the spacesuit, if it's compromised in any way, there seems to be a block from the mind and from that dense energy that stops us from feeling the energy of what our spirit or our gut feeling tells us. So there is that needs to be taken into account. There's also times that we are extremely sensitive and we feel everything, and because we see the world as chaos, as almost like a world of hell on earth, sometimes we make a decision, a choice based on our spirit, our feeling in here, more than the brain, to no longer be here. These are two separate concepts. Now, I've had this conversation with healers before, and they would argue with me, saying, no, that's not true, Mark, because if you're in here, you won't take your life. But I've met people who have told me stories about their family members as I'm reading for them, and they're next to them, and I would say to them, there's a gentleman here who's in his 50s or in his 40s, or there's a young man here who's 16. A lot of the times it's normally suicides. For me, when my clients came to me, it was normally on a masculine rather than a feminine. There was more masculine who would take their life than feminine. That's what I noticed in my experience. I don't know out there, you might know different, it might be different elsewhere. Women tend to go through a huge breakdown, but men just I've had enough, I'm off. So I'm sat, I'll give you one for instance, a beautiful lady, long white hair, gorgeous lady, sat there in front of me crying, and I felt her son, who was maybe about 2022, and he'd taken his life, and this wasn't hanging, this was tablets. So he took tons and tons of tablets, and then they tried to get into his apartment, and they had to break the door down, and he passed. Now, I saw this before she even talked to me about it. I said, I feel a son here, about 20, 25. He was 22. And I said, he's so sorry. And he's crying, and he's trying to hold you and comfort you, and says he sees you crying yourself to sleep every night. He was so lost in his mind and trapped in his mind that there was no connection between his soul and the mind. And he felt so overwhelmed by the pressure of hating his job, hating his life. His girlfriends were mistreating him all the time, so he was very unlucky in love, and he felt lost, and he hated where he lived. I won't say where he lived because somebody might know who I'm talking about. And he just didn't want to be there anymore. He didn't want to live. He didn't want to breathe anymore. So he took some tablets and he said some prayers, and I saw a letter written with red ink, specifics, but this is what I saw. And now I was able to comfort her and explain why all of these things, because she came to me because the letter wasn't enough. And I needed to explain to her before she said a word that he was so sorry for what he'd done. And he realized that the implications afterwards were so profound that he now has to spend his time in the spirit world comforting those that were affected and will be affected for the rest of their life. So he now undertakes this new path of looking after his mum, his sister. I don't want to go too far because I don't want anybody to like raise eyebrows and say that was too close. So what I'm saying is, this was about 2 weeks after the moment that she broke into the house and found him, found the body. So the spirit at that occasion had moved directly back into the light. There was another moment where a father came to me crying, very tall man, very, very nice guy, sat down, and I said, I can see your son. And I think he was about 18. He'd taken his life, but this was through a rope, so he'd taken his life with a rope. I couldn't feel anything at that moment. I couldn't channel anything. So, and I apologized, and I said, I'm not getting anything. I don't feel anything. I could feel his grief. I could feel there was something extremely wrong, and I could feel the emptiness. So I said, I feel your pain, your suffering. I said, I can't attune to anybody in the spirit world that would be able to help me, but I do feel there's a lot of pain. And I laid him down for 2 hours and I gave him a healing session. At that point, he opened up and said, would I come to his home? So I went to his home and sat down, and sure enough, the spirit of his son came through in the home. So now he was trapped in between 2 worlds, right? So this was a different circumstance. So I asked the father to sit with me. I held his hand and I started to speak to him out loud and started to talk to the son, and the son started to speak back. So I relayed all what I was hearing, and then I did my work basically, and then he moved back home. At that point, I knew he was home, and the house changed from being cold to warmer, and then it started changing, the energy started changing. Afterwards, I did a full cleansing of sage, and I also saged this man too, a beautiful man, and he began his healing. And to this day, I know this man personally, and his partner, and he's very happy, and he's accepted and moved on, and he does smile now. So that was really nice. So two different circumstances, and one moved back into the light from taking their life, and another one was trapped in between 2 worlds. Now, the amount of other situations that I've seen in different ways of moving into the light by your own choice and decision. I don't have an exact ABC, because I don't believe there is. I believe there's shades of grey in every time we decide to move into the light. But there are certain patterns that I saw within the spirit world giving me information while I was attuning to them. And one very vital part of that information is people who leave by their own hand normally end up doing great work when they're back in the spirit world. So it's like they're having to work much harder to heal what they've left behind. Not always, because obviously there's some people who have no family and have no friends, and that's a different situation. However, on a spiritual level, if you have no friends and you're on your own and you want to take your life, I believe that is an experience that we decide to go through. I don't believe we're punished per se. I think a lot of people misinterpret this idea of, well, if you do that, then you're going to be, this is going to happen to you, or that's going to happen. I don't see a huge pattern of any kind of negativity. I do see that there are times that you can be trapped in between two worlds, but then that could be said for many other things. Accidents, somebody who tries to kill you, or does kill you, should I say. Accidents and car accidents. You can get trapped in between two worlds there. You can be trapped in. So there's so many reasons why you could get trapped, and there's so many reasons that I can't really go into, because it's like it would take like 3 days. But if I keep going on this path and explaining that, if you are in a point of, I want to leave this world now, if you're thinking I want to leave, or you've got a family member who doesn't want to leave, who wants to leave but actually doesn't want to leave, that's the whole point. They're crying out for help mainly because they don't see light at the end of the tunnel. The point being is we take our life because there is no help. There's nobody there to guide us and help us, and that's nobody's fault. It's just that's part of the journey. And there is a saying that you never receive you. It's something like the challenges, you never get too heavy a challenge that you can't deal with. But that's not true, because people do take their lives. I don't know what this, you'll probably come up with a statement better than me, but we do sometimes get things that are so challenging that we struggle to deal with it, and then we've got nobody to help us. We don't know where to turn. The mind kicks in. When the brain kicks in, it snowballs and it's used wrongly, and before we know it, we'll do something that we live in the spirit world not to regret, but to let's just say this is the most profound thing I experienced from the spirit world explaining things to me. Was really quite simple, and it was when we arranged to come here, we arranged to experience life, because that's what life is. It's just about experience, in my humble opinion. Everything is experience. Everything that you do is an experience. Everything that you experience is your experience. That's what it's about. So the experience is to come and feel these things. Arguably, one of the experiences could be taking your life, but I've never ever heard that being said. Experiences is, for me, experiencing something and getting through it. So somebody's awful to you, you experience it, yes, it hurts, now you've got to get through it. This is why I think pain is inevitable but suffering is optional is so profound by the Buddha that it's my favorite quote. If I could write it down somewhere on my arm to remind me every day, or on my forehead so I can see it in the mirror, I'd use it every day. Pain is inevitable because the experience is pain a lot of the times. So like how many people experience joy as much as pain? Most people always remember pain. So the experience of pain, how do you get through that? Experience of joy isn't something you have to go through and get through and work through. It's just joy. It's a high vibration. It's a high energy, like happiness. That's how we should be, because we're trying to create an energy of the spirit that we are. So we're trying to create the body that we have, which is dense, difficult, angry, jealous, vicious, nasty, all of this energy that our body can create, but we're trying to create happiness. So however the experience, how do we get through it? How do we get over it? How do we conquer it? And then we look back on our life and say, okay, I've done all these things. I've been through all of these crazy, mad, terrible, stupid things, and yet I've overcome all of them. So when you move back into the spirit world, you can say, okay, I've dealt with all of that. I felt all of those things, and I've learned to understand them and grow from them. And that's why our consciousness grows ultimately when we go back into the sea of our family. Okay? So everything is an experience. Everything. And that experience is personal to you. So when somebody says, oh, you shouldn't do that, oh, silly person doing that to themselves, or that, nobody knows anybody's thoughts and feelings. Nobody knows anybody else's path. Nobody should judge. I don't judge anybody. If you take your life, then you took your life, and that's it. It's not like you are judged and you're going to hell and you're going to burn. That's bullshit. That's just utter nonsense. Nonsense. There's been many times that I've had the spirit world come through and explain to me, and I know this is a cliche, but we do come back. We do come back. And if we haven't, on an individual level, if I say to you, go over there and do something for that lady, when you've done it, you come back and I say, how did you feel about helping that lady? You'll say, I could have done a bit better actually. So I say, well, go back and help her again. It's exactly the same. When you leave here, you'll ask yourself the same question. Nobody else will ask you that. Nobody judges you. Only you judge you, because who else can judge you more when you are pure love and you have no lies, no worries, no fears? It's a pure conversation. Did I do my best at that particular point where I hurt somebody? Did I help and now I hurt somebody, but did I make up for it, or was I stubborn? And you know what, I need to go back and learn that again and heal from that experience. Not exactly heal, but okay, one singular point. I came into this world to experience love by another woman or a man. How did that experience go? Well, it could have gone better. Okay, let's go back and try it again. I came into this world to experience suffering from somebody, to see if I'm strong enough to get out of that and become stronger than it, so it didn't digest me, it didn't overshadow me. Yeah, I went with somebody, they abused me. I didn't handle it very well. So okay, it comes back again in the same lifetime. Oh my God, I'm back with another crazy who's doing it again. Why is this? Why is it always me? Well, maybe because it's the experience. Maybe that's what you need to do and become stronger than that. And once that happens, then it'll never happen again in this lifetime, and you won't need to come back again, because you'll become stronger and say, yeah, when I was in 5 relationships, but my last one, I wouldn't allow it to happen, and I changed it. I realized that I am the abuser of my relationship by allowing the abuser to abuse me. Nobody is going to abuse me again. I am stronger than that, and whoever comes into my life is going to love and respect me like I love and respect them. And if I am an abuser to somebody, I have to learn not to be an abuser and to heal from that, and to get into a relationship to say, I will never be an abuser again. I am going to be stronger than that, and I am going to conquer that energy, them demon thoughts that are in my mind are in this vessel that I am in, because the vessel can come with DNA, or the dog running, round in a circle before it goes to sleep. Okay, try and heal from that. Try to get rid of that, as the human will do something that, is, oh, well, it's instinct. It's inside me, we have this instinct. I'll give you a great example. I know I'm going off on one, but these things are important. We have this instinct that we have to be together with people, and if we're not together, because we have this animal-like instinct, like you have to be with me, like you have to sit next to me all the time, and you have to be with me everywhere I go. But how about finding a point in your life where you say, you know, why is it I need to be around everybody? Why do I feel so depressed when I don't feel as if that people need me? You know, why do I feel like that? On a spiritual level, that is a whole different ball game. On a mental body level, then that is so limited and so ingrained into us, just like the dog licks your face and turns in circles before it goes to sleep. We are the same as an animal instinct in this body. We have to stick together in a pack so we feel safe, and we need to feel like people know us and recognize us, so we feel as if we are important in this world and we're needed. Actually, on a spiritual level, when you get out of that, and like the Buddha and many other people, if you believe in the sages, Jesus, they all left their home to find themselves. Buddha in particular, who was under a tree, who wanted to find himself and find his inner peace and stillness and his power and his happiness through his own being. So to me, I like to be on my own because I'm trying to conquer that which has always been an issue, an emptiness inside my heart, that I need people around me, I need people to see me, I need people to hear me. And actually, that's not really why you came here. It's an experience, but maybe you came here to conquer that. So maybe you're wanting to kill yourself because you feel that nobody needs you. And actually, hang on, that's not what it's about. Maybe the experience of that particular thing, which a lot of people fail on, is that I am enough. I am me. I am my healer. I am my guru. I am my best friend. There's nothing lonely about you. You are beautiful. And if you can feel all joy and happiness without being in a pack of wolves, I have an issue anyway with people. I love people on a singular level. I love people to sit with people on a singular level. But you get them in a pack. You get them in a group. They turn weird. They go like, what's wrong with you now? You weren't like that when I was with you on your own. So I recognize this. I like being on my own. I like my own energy. I like my own shadow. I like my own presence. I like being on my own. I have no fear of that. I have no need for people to help me, or I have to help everybody else. And I don't, because I am overcoming that which is the greatest experience of all. So I do understand when people don't want to be here. I do understand that. But I am not an advocate to say, oh yeah, take your life, go on, it's okay, because I kind of like go, you're probably coming back again. And then when it happens, you go, oh shit, what did I just do? Back you come, because that's what this is. It's an experienced world. So is it right or wrong? Well, on a perspective of leaving your child behind, I guess for your child, their experience now is going to be a very deep and powerful experience to live with for the rest of their life, to try and overcome. So that's an experience. They chose you as a father or a mother, or your mother and father chose you. So that's their experience. So whatever happens to my daughter in her lifetime, she chose me, I chose her. So whatever she goes through, I am here to try and heal from her experiences, and she has to heal from my experiences, because that's the I don't like the word agreement, but that's what we chose to do together before we came into this world. So do I advocate taking your life? I don't advocate taking your life, because you know what? You can heal, and you will heal. And the amount of people who came to me who tried to take their life that night, who cut their wrists and they were stopped because somebody stopped them, and now live a beautiful life, and they show me the scars with happiness and joy. I know literally 50 or 100 people with scars there, young girls from the age of like 10, 11, 12, and now they're all like in their 20s, and they have tattoos there, like, and yeah, I mean, I have a lot of clients who did that, who I never knew them, and then next thing they're being brought to me at big shows or in my room, and there's this girl who's just tried to take her life. Is there any chance of helping her? Yeah. Did I ever have any clients who took their life while I was helping them? No, never. I was, I don't know what I'd do if I did. I'd probably stop. They probably know that. But then that would be my lesson to overcome. So again, yeah, it's easy. It's easy to say, right? It's easy to say unless it's happened to you. So to finalise, I know it's been a long chat, but I'd like to finalise it on this note. There is no right and wrong in the spirit world. There is only experience. How you handle your life on this planet is your understanding when you leave this world, is your point of call, meaning, did I do my best? And if you feel like you want to come back and experience it again, then you will. So when people say, I'm not going to come back here again, I normally go, oof. Oof. That's your brain talking, not your soul. So I think the ones who don't come back are the ones who don't say anything and just say, you know what, it is what it is. If I'm meant to come back, I will come back. That has more effect on me when I feel them speaking than somebody saying, I've been through the pain, I've been through the suffering, I'm not coming back again, I hate this world. It's like, that's not you speaking, because your spirit will probably, once you get back there, is strong and saying, I'm back again to try and make this world a better place. Is that what it's about? I have no idea, actually. I have no idea what this world's about. I've thought about it, but there's so many different things that happen to different people. It's very, very difficult to pinpoint why we're here. But my ultimate understanding is that this world is the only world that I know of that is the experience world, that is tangible, that's touchable, that is slappable, that is, you could take tablets and take your life, or you can do great harm, or you could do great good. It's an energy that you can actually hold on to, whereas the spirit world is a different frequency, it's a different energy, it's completely different. So I probably haven't tackled all the answers, but it's a huge subject. And I think by sharing some of the experiences with my clients and with what I've seen, I look at life by way of, there's no such thing as death. I don't want anybody to run out and take their life, because I think your life here is damn important. And even your brain that keeps telling you that you're not good enough, that everything's going to go wrong, that you're a waste of energy, you're a waste of space, you've done so much damage and so much, I am such a waste of energy here. All of that is meaningless. That's a cry out for help. That's all that is. And just to clarify something, if you are thinking of taking your life, 1, you're an amazing soul. 2, you're a powerful soul. 3, you can heal through this any given moment, like that. Your life can be filled with joy. You can laugh your head off. You can have ultimate happiness and joy and everything that you want. It's just a change of a mindset and telling this to shut up, because this is in control of this, and that's the problem. The biggest battle in this world is between the heart and mind. If you can conquer this by saying enough and listen to this, you will find that you will not want to leave too soon, and that you will want to do all the things that you came here to do, whether right or wrong, good or bad, happy or sad, crazy, whatever it is, you will get through it, and you will walk a path of your true destiny. That's ultimately, I'm not on my path. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Everything's going wrong. Yeah, you're on your right path. How are you doing? I'm feeling great. Well, hang on a minute. 6 weeks ago, you said you weren't on your right path. Yeah, but that's because everything was going wrong. Now everything's going right. But if it wasn't from going from there to there to there to there, you would have never got to there. Oh, yeah, that's true. So you were on your right path. Well, now that you said that, yeah, I was. So I'll leave you with this. If things are bad, if you think that you don't want to be here anymore, let me tell you, you're on your right path and everything will work out. Always does. Just keep taking one step at a time. Keep banging forward. Keep healing yourself. Keep looking after yourself. Keep saying, I am worthy of this path. You are important. You are special. You are equal to any given person in this world, whether they be famous, rich, godlike, whatever, Jesus-like. You are equal to any soul in this world. Your spirit is as equally powerful. Your gifts are equally powerful. You just haven't found them yet. And you're looking, well, how do I find them? You'll find them. You're on your path. Don't worry. Let all this be a lesson. Let it all be an experience. And once you just say, this is just an experience, I'm just walking this path. I don't know. Yeah, I make mistakes every day. I'm getting things wrong. Everything's going. That's a better way to see life than, I am rubbish. I'm not good. Just stop it. Just stop it. That's the brain that has convinced you by way of programming, by your teachers, by your mum and your dad and people around you and your partners. Let it all go. You can change instantly at any given moment, and don't let anybody tell you that the change isn't you, or you cannot change because of your past and what you've done and been through. That is ultimate garbage. What makes people the most powerful and remembered souls in this world are the ones who have done much damage and really bad things to actually change it and become amazing souls. They're the ones that are remembered, not the ones who are always good all the time. To me, always good all the time doesn't actually really mean too much. It just means that you're on holiday. But the real work are the ones of all the pain and suffering that you've been through, to be able to overcome it, to get to the top of your mountain and say, I've done with this. Now I'm on a different wavelength. I'm on a different energy, and I become a lighthouse at the top of this mountain, and I'm going to shine. Why? Because I've experienced it. I know truth. I know experience. I know pain. I know suffering. I know feelings of depression. I know feelings of anxiety. I know feelings of suicide. And I've overcome that. So now I can shine my light over the world and help. That's what it's about. Contributing to the world and experiencing it at the same time. So you have to go through the experience to contribute to the world. It works hand in hand. You are amazing. You are fantastic. And remember, if somebody's upsetting you, if people are saying bad things, no one has the power over you unless you let them. I've had terrible things said to me day after day, and I do my best to be as kind and caring as I can. So what chance do you think you have? What chance do I think I have when somebody makes the most beautiful song in the world and they put it out there and you look at the comments of horrible comments? What chance do we have? Even if we sing the most beautiful song in the world, somebody's going to hate it. Just because a flower is beautiful, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to love it. Some people are going to hate it because it reminds them of their partner who threw the flowers in their face. And then from that moment on, they hate flowers. It's not the flower's fault. The flower's just a flower. Remember, dear friends, people's reaction is their experience that they need to overcome. You are amazing. You are bloody amazing. And don't let anybody tell you different.